Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
I think it is clear that the Republicans can't govern. We've seen that from the time that they've been in power, from the time that they took 15 rounds. Now, I agree with Matt Gaetz in that new leadership that can be trustworthy is needed. So I would think that, and I'm ready to work with Republicans, all we need is 5 Republicans to vote with me to elect Hakeem Jeffries to be the Speaker of the United States Congress. You'll have new leadership that is trustworthy and will be able to deliver and get things done, just as we did as Democrats with a 5-vote majority in the 117th Congress. That is the way that we can move forward. We've seen, as Hakeem has said, that he's willing to work with Republicans. And that's why we were able to avoid a shutout last night. So I think that the American public should look at this picture and see how we can progress and work together. You have one leader who is not trustworthy based upon his own membership, who's divided and they're dysfunctional, and you have another who has always kept his word, who's been putting things together, and all we need is 5 Republicans to vote with us to elect Hakeem Jeffries, and we'll work together. We won't have that dysfunction that you're seeing on the Republican side.
I love that clip. It's not from today. Don't get excited, everybody. But obviously today, Jim Jordan didn't work out again. This is the insane party, and we know that because they keep trying to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. We had Kevin, the incompetent, who actually, he actually got elected as Speaker of the House, but his election took longer than his speakership lasted. You know what I'm saying? So, if Kevin McCarthy, he just failed at getting the requisite 217 votes. People like, it's 218, yeah, but Mr. Bilirakis, he's at a funeral, so he's a Republican, lowers the number needed to prevail from 218 to 217, right? So you could only lose 4 Republican votes, and Jim Jordan just lost 20. 20 Republicans voted against him. 20. And Crazy Lady Spartz, you know her, she's a Ukrainian woman, but she's backcrap, she's a little nuts. She actually voted for Thomas Massey. What? I don't even know where. They're like pulling names out of their, rectum, nearly killed him. Holy crap. I don't even understand how she came up with Massey. But this election for Speaker of the House of Representatives actually is going to last longer than any Speaker of the House of Representatives, so long as they're pulling from the crazy caucus, so long as they're pulling from the Republican lunatic fringe. And that's what they're doing. But, who to root for? See, that's my conundrum. Who to root for? Jim Jordan, well, let's see. He's a show horse, not a workhorse. Let's see, what are his qualifications? So he's passed no legislation ever. Can you believe that? All those years that he's been, like a rabble-rouser and, criticizing and, the central scrutinizer and mocking and making fun of Democrats who, apparently do get things done. He's gotten nothing done ever on his watch has ever happened, except he created the weaponization of government. Just trips off the tongue, doesn't it? The weaponization of Congress committee, select committee. He created that. But the guy has done absolutely nothing legislatively, and he wants to be Speaker of the House. Oh, God. He's never held a position of leadership in the Republican Party, hasn't been a minority whip, a majority whip, hasn't done anything at all in the leadership of that party. And now they just want to elevate him to Speaker. Well, also his qualifications must include the fact that he covered up sexual assault of wrestling team members at Ohio State for I don't know how many years. I mean, this Dr. Strauss dude who was molesting boys in the showers. Everybody's so worried about bathroom behavior. Now you know why. Now you understand. It's all projection. Everything that they say that they're scared of, that the Democrats might do, or they suspect us, is stuff they're doing. It's stuff they've done and stuff they keep on doing. Denny Hastert was a pedophile child molester. He was Speaker of the House. Jim Jordan covered for pedophile child molesters, and he wants to be Speaker of the House. So, and now they're the lying that goes on in that party, it's pretty freaking amazing. Mike Turner, the Republican from Ohio, was asked, could you vote, this was yesterday, could you vote for Jim Jordan knowing that he covered up for a child molester all those years? And he's like, oh, he didn't know anything about it. He had no idea that was going on. I'm sorry, he was what? The coach of the wrestling team? And the wrestling team members were the ones that were being sexually assaulted by the team doctor, and the coach did not know? So he's a lousy coach too. And now he's gotten his friends in Congress to lie for him too.
Do the allegations that he turned a blind eye to sexual assault at Ohio University cause any problems for you, or the allegations that he had knowledge of Donald Trump's attempts on January 6th and leading up to it to stop the election certification?
Well, first, Margaret, the allegations at Ohio State, there's not one person who's ever said that they have knowledge of Jim Jordan having any knowledge.
What?
And what occurred at Ohio State wasn't even under Jim Jordan. He was not the head coach. This was not something that he had responsibility for. So those that are making accusations are making, just presumptions of, well, he would have had to have known. But there's no one, I mean, mind you, this was years ago, no one who has come forward at all ever said that there was actual knowledge on Jim Jordan's part. And of course, he condemns what occurred.
Is that true? Anybody?
Jim Jordan called me crying, groveling on the 4th of July.
Oh, dates.
Begging me to go against my brother.
Your brother.
Begging me. Crying for a half hour. That's the kind of cover-ups that's going on there. Now, you guys can sit and act like it's not going on, but I got a lot of other stuff here. Emails that were taken out of my mailbox. That's a crime.
So that's just one guy, okay, over there. That's Aaron Disabato. He was the captain of the Ohio State wrestling team, who said Jim Jordan called him up crying. And then, of course, there's the a massive settlement that occurred after the death of Dr. Strauss, who died in 2005. And the, 296 survivors of Dr. Strauss's abuse were given a settlement of $60 million. And others of them still continue to pursue their claims. And, several other major universities who now saw the writing on the wall, they've already settled with episodes that are extremely similar, like Michigan in 2022, a $490 million settlement with more than 1,000 people who alleged sexual assault by a sports doctor. And then the University of California system in 2022, they agreed to pay $243 million to settle 200 claims of women who accused a former UCLA gynecologist of sexual abuse. And then the University of Southern California in 2021, an $852 million settlement with more than 700 women. And Michigan State in 2018, a $500 million settlement with more than 300 women. So Jim Jordan is in the company of people who have all persuaded courts that this behavior is similar in many, many university settings. And Jim Jordan still continues to deny, as the coach of the Ohio State wrestling team, that he knew anything about almost 300 wrestling team members over a period of 10 years being sexually abused. It's just okay, so a lot of people won't vote for him because of that there crap, okay? And then others won't vote for him because he is an insurrectionist who knew about January 6th, and currently he's still an election denier. So 20 votes short in the first vote to be Speaker of the House.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Right now, the leading contender to become Speaker and second in line to the presidency is a co-founder of the far-right House Freedom Caucus, an election denier, MAGA extremist, who's arguably the member of Congress most involved in Donald Trump's attempted coup.
Here is Jordan in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, attending a Stop the Steal rally 2 days after Election Day. In the weeks and months after that, Jordan went on various right-wing media outlets where he attempted to sow distrust in the 2020 election and made baseless claims of election fraud.
Jim Jordan knew more about what Donald Trump had planned for January 6th than any other member of the House of Representatives.
But Jim Jordan was privy to nearly everything, if not everything, about and pertaining to January 6th. Jim Jordan can't be trusted with the Constitution.
Anyone who endorses Jordan and any member who votes for him is affirmatively voting for a coup plotter, an election denier, and a foe of American democracy.
Oh my God. That's kind of in your face. So, like I said, who are we rooting for? Because, you know, listen, people go, oh, it can't get any worse than Jim Jordan. Oh, really? I got 2 words for you. George Santos. No, I'm not kidding. Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's 3 words, but you know what I'm saying? Of course it could get worse. It's the freaking Republican Party. This is the, torch it all, burn it down in the ground party. This is who they are. This is what they do. The idea that Jim Jordan is even selected by them as being viable to be the Speaker of the House in this particular time, in this moment, where we have wars raging in Israel, ally. We have a war raging in Ukraine, ally. We have, a bill that's coming due on November 17th. Today's October 17th. We have a measly 4 weeks to figure out how to keep government running and open. This is crazy. So who do they pick? They pick the guy least likely to be able to govern. Why would that be? Why? Because they don't want anything to happen. It's a hold on governing. It's the Mitch McConnell technique. It's the Mitch McConnell tactic, where no matter what's going on in the world, no matter when we're needed, no matter what our people are going through, no matter whether or not, the air traffic controllers are going to get paid or not, or the military is going to get paid or not, in the time of, being deployed, and they are being deployed. You understand that? 2,000 soldiers have been called up, and they've been put on 24 hours notice. The ones who are typically on 96 hours notice, that's been reduced now to 24 hours notice. And it seems like the people who are being put on 24 hours notice have very special career descriptors, like people who would defuse bombs. They're being put on 24 hours notice. So obviously they don't give a rat's ass about America, American security, about leadership. They don't know how to lead, and so they pick Jim Jordan because Jim Jordan fulfills all their hopes and dreams that nothing will ever get done. So that's kind of where we are. And now you've got, this massive bombing that just happened in Gaza City. It's a hospital. A freaking hospital has been hit. Okay, 200 to 300 people, I'll say conservatively, are dead, okay, in Gaza City. And I'm trying to figure out, who did it? Because everybody wants to report that it's a done deal that the Israelis targeted a hospital. If that's true, I'm not sure that Biden can meet with Netanyahu. I'm just not sure that is something that should happen or could happen or ought to happen. I'm just somebody that committed a war crime like that. I don't know if they deserve a visit from the President of the United States, especially a Joe Biden who cares deeply, deeply about not committing war crimes. But I don't know that that's true. I don't know. There's other reporting. It's not confirmed reporting. It's not coming from AP or Reuters or any of the Israeli newspapers yet. It's all I can tell you is that the Israeli Defense Force has told some news outlets that they were not operating in that area, that they had no operations going on where that hospital is, and it couldn't have been them. And other people are saying that Hamas tried to launch a rocket, and the rocket misfired, and it made a U-turn, and it hit the hospital. I don't know what happened. I pray to God it was by accident. I pray to God that that was an errant, ill-performing missile. Because if war crimes like that, I mean, listen, I can't say this often enough. I will never be okay, and neither will the United States, by the way, ever be okay with what the Israelis call total siege. I will never be okay with starving people or making them die of thirst. I mean, I just think that that is torture. It's brutal. You're talking innocent civilians who have been oppressed by their government, which is a terrorist organization. You know, it's so interesting, but, you know, I think about a lot of the calls I get when I go home. I think about you on the ride home. I think about you when I'm at home. I think about you when I'm preparing the show for the next day. And yesterday, two callers stood out to me. Perry in Georgia, who was obviously a young man who was very concerned and couldn't understand how caged people, meaning the people that are, you know, like barricaded into Gaza, and they are, by two different governments, right? They're barricaded at the top, at the northern portion of a crossing that might be made open by Israel, and on the southern part of a crossing that might be made open by Egypt, or actually could bring in supplies. And he wanted to know, if I was caged in, would I try to get out? But, you know, Perry, I erred in this way. The people of Gaza are being caged in by their own government. They're being caged in by the terrorists that are Hamas. There is no question about that. When Israel said to the people in Gaza, northern Gaza, to move south, to cross this river and go south, because they were going to target the tunnels that Hamas has in Gaza City. They were going to probably, do bunker busters and some other, heavy munitions there. And so it bodes well for Israel that they do drop flyers and that they do give people notice to go away from where they're about to do a military bombing in order to rout out a terrorist organization. I think a lot of the Palestinians understand that they are being oppressed. But, well, anyway, Hamas told them, the people that they are in charge of, to stay put. Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Because they're going to use their own people as human shields. They're going to use their own people as devices to gain sympathy. They want their people to be killed and slaughtered, and then they'll take photos, just like they did of the killing and the slaughtering that they did in Israel with GoPros and body cams. They want the pictures of the dead children. They want the pictures of the dead women. They want the pictures of people starving. They want the pictures of people wounded who can't get medical care. That, for them, is gold. It's pay dirt. So that's who's actually oppressing the people of Gaza. It is not the people of Gaza that are trying to break out of Gaza. It's Hamas. It's Hamas. So I just wanted to clear that up for Perry, because I know Perry, is kind of like an innocent, and he just wants to try to understand what's going on here. It's not the easiest. It's also not the hardest.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Today, Israel's military released this chilling video, which it says was found on the body of a dead Hamas militant.
Oh, God.
It appears to have been edited. The gunmen hunt their victims inside a kibbutz, stalking civilians in their own homes, until finally the militants killed. Israel says it's also discovered documents in the aftermath of the attack, including this handbook with instructions for blindfolding and executing captives. Today, we were taken to an Israeli military base to see this cache of weapons seized from Hamas.
So here we have hand grenades. Over here we have anti-tank bombs or IEDs. And over here we have anti-tank missiles. This really is quite an arsenal.
Israel's military claims some of it was made in Iran and North Korea.
We knew that they were getting more sophisticated. We knew that they were getting funds and training from Iran, but this is something else.
Okay, so and some of it actually has been made from water pipes. I'm not kidding. Water pipes in Gaza. I just, listen, this is madness. This is mass madness. But when you look at a group like this, and when you look at a group that actually puts GoPros on their, death squads so that they can film and then, lovingly edit their kill videos, their snuff film, lovingly edit it for, consumption on media outlets, which is why they edit it so that it's airable on media. And that this was the goal. They needed something that they could put on TV as they were killing innocent grandmas and disabled and children in front of parents and parents in front of children. And they filmed it. It seems to me that they would be the kind of people that would bomb a hospital. It just, I don't know. I mean, listen, Netanyahu, he's Trump. You have to think of it that way. You have to think of Netanyahu's mindset as Trump's mindset because they are ultra. And what I said to you yesterday, if you find yourself with ultra in front of your group's name, ultra orthodox, ultra MAGA, ultra conservative, ultra right wing, you're in the wrong place. Go away. Get out of there. Okay? Just get out of there. You're not safe. It's not cool. These people are going to make really bad decisions on your behalf. So anyway, Netanyahu needs to be thought of that way. You have to understand that he is ultra right wing. And if anybody would approach Gaza at this point who duped him, according to him, right? We're supposed to believe that he was duped. The man who calls himself the babysitter of Israel, meaning your children will be safe with Bibi Netanyahu, the babysitter. He's on the job. This was his calling card. This was his claim to fame. And they duped him, see? And so if you got the crap kicked out of you by, a Hamas and you're Bibi, then scorched earth is kind of the way you'd want to go. So if that is, what we're looking at, I'm not really sure that, the president of the United States should meet with him. If that's what, but if it's the other way around and the people who wear GoPros tried to launch some sort of a rocket and it didn't launch properly and it did a little U-turn there and it hit a hospital, that's a whole different story. It's a whole different whale of a tale. Doesn't bring back any of those people, but it does actually change the narrative of whether or not we want to see our president meet with the prime minister of Israel. I mean, this is, and let me tell you something. I was reading before the show that the Israeli military actually is gauging how many people have left and moved south in Gaza by phone data. They're actually monitoring a million mobile phones that belong to people who live in the Gaza Strip. And they're looking at the data that they're able to harvest from a million mobile phones, and they create these maps, and the maps create a real-time assessment of how many Gazans heeded the warning from Israel to go south. And they have color codes on there. It's a live map. And so if it's orange or red, they know not to bomb there because there's still civilians. But if it turns yellow or, green, then they know that they're clear, okay? Now, that's the kind of place that you hope it is. That's the kind of, surveillance and the kind of precautions that you hope is being put into, the what to do next phase of this terrorist attack. And because there are multiple plans now, at the beginning, when it was just Bibi doing all the yapping, all we were hearing was complete scorched earth. That he would hunt them down. Nobody's going to live. Everybody's going to die. It's going to be a massive, But, we were saying, please do learn from us. Don't do what we did. Don't squander the global legitimacy that you have right now. And you do. They do. I mean, they were the victims of the most horrific terrorist attack. It was up close and personal. It was like people literally finding babies, literally finding children, finding their parents, and killing the children in front of the parents and the parents in front of the children. I mean, come on. That's like the most disgusting. And so, yes, they had, all of the world's support in avenging what had just happened to them. But I was saying, listen, you can't just, go bomb hospitals. You can't just go starve people. You can't just, do scorched earth crap, because the pictures alone, you will fritter away all this goodwill. You will lose that goodwill, and that can't happen. That can't happen, or shouldn't happen. But I mean, so I'm waiting for the world to confirm or deny what happened there in this hospital setting. Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander when it comes to war crimes. I don't care who's doing them. I never did. When we were doing them, I didn't care either. When we were doing them, I called them out. I got in a whole hell of a lot of trouble. I'm telling you, nobody wanted to be near me. Nobody wanted to employ me. Nobody wanted to have anything to do with me or what I was saying or the lawsuits that came from it. Whatever. It's a long time ago. I'm past it. I'm over it. But I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud. And I'm disgusted with the people who claim to be, supportive of progressive media, because they weren't. Second it got tough, they got going. All of them. So if you ever wanted to know what is the axe that I have to grind with some people, that's the axe that I had to grind with some people. It's a long time ago, though, but when I see a war crime, when I see things that are in violation of treaties we've signed, if not composed after World War II, which worked until they didn't. I don't care who's doing it. I don't care. I will say it's a war crime, period. Put them on trial. Do it now. Send a message. The world doesn't tolerate it. The world doesn't stomach it. The world doesn't appease it. The world doesn't excuse it. Except America got appeased and excused for doing it. Not me.
Clear. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, 47 after. Again, a hospital has been bombed in Gaza. It's reported that it's killed 200 to 300 people. There's also a school next to this hospital where people were sheltering, and that's been damaged in this rocket strike. Now, I don't know who for sure. The Israelis, the IDF said that they're sorting through, they're trying to figure out, but that they were not operating in that area. The people who monitor situations like this are saying that they don't have a definitive, answer yet either. But it could have been, maybe it was a rocket that Hamas was trying to fire, and the rocket malfunctioned, and it did like a U-turn and slammed into the hospital, damaging the school. Please let that be the case. It's not going to do anything for the 200-300 people who are dead now in that hospital scenario, and it isn't going to do anything for the 4,000 people that were sheltering in that school. But it will actually allow for people to continue to speak to each other in a manner that says we support democratic principles and not terrorists. And we don't, condone hitting hospitals that had to have been a terrorist attack or an accident. Russell in New York.
Hey, Randy, did you see that video of the Israeli bandaged up and a hostage who was saying she was well treated?
Yes, I have it right there. Yeah, it's right on my computer, actually.
Right. And now Biden's headed out of Jordan. He's running away from a meeting with Abu Abbas because the West Bank is on fire. Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Brett said, no conspiracies, Russell, but I don't think that's a coincidence.
He said he didn't say that to you.
I didn't say anything to you,
Russell. He said he didn't say anything to you.
To the point.
No, that was
very friendly.
That was when the thing went down in the ocean. Okay, I'm sorry. Not Now, he's being very fair. But a precision artillery strike on a hospital, that's a war crime. If it's deliberate, do you think there should be a Nuremberg trial set up now?
Oh, yes, absolutely, no doubt.
Okay, because, we're both Jewish, Randy, and do you think that these settler extremists would rather go down fighting in some kind of apocalyptic vision than admit that they were defeated and dismantle apartheid?
I don't know, but the West Bank is not Gaza, and the settlers are in the West Bank, and it's a completely different, type of government. The West Bank is governed by the Palestinian Authority, and the right-wing Likud settlers are doing that horrendous, kicking people out of their houses in the West Bank kind of a thing.
Right.
And it's ugly. But the Gaza Strip is not, it's not the same thing. The Gaza Strip is, governed by a terrorist organization.
Right. Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, but those settlements outside of Gaza came from inside Gaza when the Israelis withdrew. So those settlements were within Gaza before they were...
You're talking about the kibbutz?
Well, they're calling them kibbutz conveniently now, right? Because that's what we all remember.
No, they've been there. They've been there since the 60s, those kibbutz.
Some of them or all of them?
Most of them. These are
okay.
These are it's a whole different animal over there than a lot of people do it. I'm going to try and be patient. But a lot of people do it. They don't understand the difference between what goes on in the West Bank, which is a much larger area, and what goes on in Gaza, which is a tiny little strip of land that Hamas, which is the Muslim Brotherhood out of Egypt, okay, that's Hamas. That's who it is. That's remember Ayman al-Zawahiri, the Egyptian doctor that was, part of the bombing of the World Trade Center?
Number 2.
Okay, so he and Hamas are from the same terrorist organization, and they meet in like Egyptian prisons, okay? Egyptian prisons are like the raya of, dating. I mean, it's like, it's like Tinder. It really is. They all meet each other in Egyptian prisons. So
I agree that I'm glad you're open to other opinions, but I think the power of observation is the refusal to look away. GoPro cameras are on U.S. military helmets, too, so you can't look away. 250,000 U.S. citizens live in Israel. Don't we have a right to protect them? We should be going in there right now and take out Israel's nuke facilities and put the USS Liberty on a banner on those aircraft carriers, okay? We have no treaty with Israel. They are trying to draw us into World War III so that Trump becomes a footnote. Thank you, Randy.
So are you saying Israel attacked itself?
What just happened there? From my point of
So
view,
what happened there is he's dying to blame Israel for anything that happens to Israel, right?
He was super calm and conversational. Saw that he was given just a little bit of room. Man, did he kick the door open and just go ham there at the last 30 seconds.
Well, there's a lot of that going on. And this is a really tough conversation to have with people because it is a holy land, seriously, at the beginning of time, okay? It's a holy land for, 3 of the world's greatest religions, meaning practiced by the most people. When I say greatest, I mean largest. So, obviously it's a place that's fraught with, hopes and dreams and desires to call it home, to call it yours, to call it, a settled dispute. But then there are the opposite, there's the people who actually live in Israel, and about 48% of those people are not religious. And that's another portion of it. And, they're just livid. They're just livid that, that there are religious people in Israel who are doing really ugly things in the West Bank. And they are. You will not find an argument with me on that issue. But very few people get the difference between the West Bank over here. I should get a whiteboard. I should do that. Like the West Bank over here and Gaza over there. They're not, it's like the East Coast to West Coast. It's like that. It's not the same thing. Kelly in California. Kelly.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there, Randy.
Hey.
Hey, my dear, I want to thank you for educating a lot of us. I'm very educated in many things, but we just figured out Ukraine and trying to deal with that. So
yeah.
Yesterday, you were kind of short with some of your callers, and I get it because it is a little, but thank you so much for taking the time because a lot of us don't have time to really get in and dig into this.
Oh, I don't mind. I don't mind.
Awesome teaching us.
I don't mind people not knowing. What I mind is what I said yesterday. I mind people who have very strong opinions based on nothing. That's what bothers me.
That's why I held back. I didn't call. I just waited. I wanted to learn. But I would love to see you and Katie Porter with your whiteboards, girl.
Yeah, yeah. She's got
she's
got a really good way of showing things to people and making them simple, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. With, you know, taking complex things and making them as simple as possible so you could latch onto them and form opinions about them. But the only thing that really bugs me, the only thing that bothers me is people who have very strong opinions. That's why Perry bothered me, okay, because Perry had a very strong opinion about being in a cage and trying to get out, but he doesn't realize who holds the key, okay? He just doesn't. And so, but he was talking over me and getting very emotional about it. And, you know, that's what bothers me. And then I had another lady who was a new listener, right? You should not call this show. This is not entry-level stuff, okay? It just isn't. It's advanced. It's advanced liberalism. It's advanced progressive, you know, geopolitical conversations. Anyway, she called, and I tried to, you know, explain to her that Netanyahu's call. I thought she was going to ask me, why hadn't this been solved earlier? Meaning through the course of history, right? And instead she asked me about why is there so much hatred and why didn't Netanyahu know about it? And she couldn't say Netanyahu's name, so I understood that I was now going to have to show her the history of Benjamin Netanyahu, which requires knowing about the Oslo Accords, knowing about the assassinations, because if you have to explain to somebody why this has never been solved, then you have to explain to somebody that when Sadat and Begin made peace, a ultra right-wing Egyptian assassinated Sadat for making peace on the Egyptian side. And then years later, Rabin was assassinated for trying to make peace on the Israeli side. And he was also killed by an ultra-Orthodox person. Bayumi, I think his name was. So, you know, to go through all that with somebody who can't even say, it seemed overwhelming to me, and I got overwhelmed. So, I mean, listen, I get that this is it's a scary topic because it does have the potential to set the world on fire, almost literally, like Armageddon-ish kind of thing. And short of that, World War III. And also, people are going to blame somebody for World War III. And because they're not so familiar with the terrorist group Hamas, they might just blame the Jews. That would be bad.
/donate.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
The first video of a hostage held inside Gaza, released by Hamas. In it, 21-year-old Maya Shem asks to be brought home as soon as possible and says she's being given medical care. It's unclear if she's being forced to make the statement. Meanwhile, a Hamas leader says non-Israeli captives will be released from Gaza if conditions allow. Hamas is holding 199 hostages, according to the Israeli military. Gershon Baskin negotiated with Hamas to secure the high-profile release of Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit in 2011. He says he's been in contact with Hamas every day since the attack.
What's the best approach to even open a dialogue with Hamas?
The best approach is understanding that it can't be directly done by Israel. To start a dialogue with Hamas, we have to understand who can do it. And the ones who can do it are the countries that have influence over Hamas, which are Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt, and Iran.
Baskin says there's a small window of opportunity to make a deal to release hostages.
It's a matter of days, probably a week, before the Israeli ground forces go into Gaza. That's when the window for negotiation closes.
But that means that hostages are sacrificed.
It means that hostages are going to be tried to be freed, and they might be sacrificed. My sense of the pulse of the Israeli public right now, the government and the military, is that the primary objective today is to remove Hamas from its ability to govern. And that means that hostages may be sacrificed. This hurts me so much to say that the hostages might be considered additional casualties of the war for Israel's survival.
I mean, what do you do with information like that? This is hair raising, really, that people could be used as human sacrifices by the government of Israel. But the government of Israel is Benjamin Netanyahu. But I will say this about this bombing in the hospital thing. So when I look at what Hamas is willing to do, when I look at the group of people who are willing to terrorize their own people for years and years and years for propaganda use, right? And I look at a group of people who are willing to kill children in front of their parents and kill parents in front of their children, take hostages, right? And then show me the videos on the TV. I think that it's more likely that they were trying to send a rocket up and the rocket went, the rocket failed and did some zigzagging and hit their own hospital than it is that Israel, even though it's led by Benjamin Netanyahu, which you should think of as Trump, is in charge of that particular response. And why do I say that? Because what was the first thing that we saw happen there? What was the first thing that the different parties in Israel did as soon as the terrorist attack occurred and they understood that their prime minister was Benjamin Netanyahu, who had successfully divided this country right down the ass crack because he was trying to destroy the courts there to save his own ass because he's been indicted for bribery and fraud. And every Saturday night in Israel since January, hundreds of thousands of people have been out in the street protesting his attack on their democracy. So the guy is like off the deep end anyway. So what was the first thing that we saw happen inside of the government in Israel? They created a war cabinet that actually has liberals, progressives, the Labor Party in there, and observers watching so that hospitals wouldn't be bombed. You understand? So it's going to take me a while to actually figure out who actually attacked this hospital. Now, I will tell you right now that the Israeli Defense Force is saying that the intelligence they have shows Islamic Jihad, which is a different group from Hamas, but it's also a terrorist group in that region, that they're responsible for the rocket that hit the hospital in Gaza. Now, here's the problem that we're going to have. Fog of war, everybody, fog of war. And you know what's the first thing that gets sacrificed? In war, it's the truth. But if you had a choice about who to believe, whether I wanted to believe a terrorist organization who has caused such heartache and poverty and horrendous living conditions in Gaza for Gazans over a period of 17 years, where they've had no elections, where the people are just sacrificed to their Islamic whim and their dream of destroying every Jew in Israel. Every single one has got to die. It's who they are. It's what they want. There's no discrepancy in that. I mean, nobody disagrees with that. They wouldn't even disagree with that. They'll say, no, that's why we're here. That's what we want. Okay, so would you believe them, or would you believe a war cabinet that was specifically put together to ensure that you wouldn't get stuff like this because they weren't thinking, and Netanyahu was out for, his pound of flesh. And so they made sure that they could observe and that they would be consulted, and this war cabinet would make decisions that were beneficial to Israel's position after being victims of a horrendous terrorist attack. So, you know, that's why the second I saw this hospital, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I believe that. Right, Brett? I was like, I just don't think that happened.
That was your initial reaction. It was not nearly as knee-jerk as many of the reactions
And
I've
I don't
heard
want to say
this
names or
morning.
anything like that, but, you know,
Yes.
we're on a network, okay, and there are other broadcasters on that network, and so we have the feed running quietly in the background, and very quietly, because I'm reading. That's what I do to prepare for the show, is I read, you know, all these freaking pieces of paper. Yes, I am a boomer. I print out the internet. Go ahead, mock me. It works. But I read, and I need it kind of quiet. So Brett sits, you know, we're in two different rooms, and he sits in his room, and he monitors the network. And he did say that he heard, you know, the announcement, let's just put it generically, that Israel had attacked a hospital.
Yeah, the timing was really wild, actually, because you had said, I'm just not willing to concrete say this.
Right.
And that thing immediately was said on air.
As being fact.
Minutes later.
Yeah, and the information that had happened this way, as it was reported, came from Hamas. That's who was giving the information to the media at large, to Reuters, to New York Times, to you know, all the major media outlets, AP. You know, they were all getting that information from Hamas. And I was like, I don't know. I just don't see it. Listen, I don't. Israel is still a democracy. It is still, you know, it's a parliamentary democracy. It's different from ours, but it's still a democracy. They still have elections, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I just thought that it makes no sense. The president of the United States is getting on a plane. He's going to the region, at his own peril, both you know, physical peril and emotional peril, and you know, but he's doing it to show that there's no daylight between this democracy and that democracy, who's in a neighborhood that is, you know, cringy, scary. And they would bomb a hospital the night before he gets on an airplane to go there. And, you know, it's not just Netanyahu that Biden is going to meet. Biden is going to meet the leader of the West Bank. He's going to meet Mahmoud Abbas to try and figure out a way forward there. He's going to meet with al-Sisi in Egypt, who, by the way, you know, took over in a coup. Just so you know, the neighborhood that he's going to. And he's going to meet with, the Jordanian King Abdullah. He's going to meet with a whole lot of people in the region to try and figure out the way forward, to try and get aid in to the southern Gaza, to try and get water and food in there, and to try and get people out.
I watched it on TV.
All things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
All right, I could just tell you this. I'm watching all the wires, and it's moving very quickly, this story, very, very quickly. And so this Gaza attack on this hospital, first of all, this hospital is run by the Anglican Church. Yes. The Archbishop of Canterbury just put out a statement saying this is an appalling and devastating loss of innocent lives. The Ali Hospital is run by the Anglican Church. I mourn with our brothers and sisters. Please pray for them. I renew my appeal for civilians to be protected in this devastating war. And then the Guardian UK is reporting that events are moving very quickly in the earlier Gaza hospital attack. Israel now says intelligence shows that a failed rocket launch, God, I'm smart, that a failed rocket launch, now I thought it was Hamas. No, they say it's Islamic Jihad, which is another terrorist group in that neighborhood, was responsible, according to Reuters, and that an analysis of the Israeli Defense Forces operational systems shows that a barrage of rockets were fired by terrorists in Gaza, passing in close proximity to the Al-Ali hospital in Gaza at the time it was hit. An Israeli Defense Force spokesperson said, quote, intelligence from multiple sources we have in our hands indicates that Islamic Jihad is responsible for the failed rocket launch which hit the hospital in Gaza. We did not strike that hospital, Jonathan Conricus, international spokesperson. You know, he's getting famous, Jonathan Conricus. We played him, on day one because I knew he was going to be the face of, kind of like in Ukraine, you have these people, a handful of them that are in their apartments, that become the spokespeople for the civilians, right? Anyway, well, Jonathan Conricus, he's the international spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Force. He said, quote, "We do not intentionally strike any sensitive facilities and definitely not hospitals. We're very much aware of the presence of civilians." And meanwhile, Russia said, we demand a meeting at the United Nations Security Council today. We want a meeting. We have to discuss this incident. The nerve. I mean, so this has got to be Hamas wanting this news to come out in this manner, saying Israelis just struck a hospital. This is exactly what they would want. And especially when Russia says, we want an international, we want a tribunal, we want an investigation. Russia, who bombed maternity hospitals, apartment blocks. Russia, who bombed a shopping mall in Ukraine, an outdoor, cafes, schools, started it with a kindergarten, an attack on a kindergarten, okay? That's how this whole Ukrainian thing started. And rape as a weapon of war, I mean, that kind of crap, that was like invented in Chechnya, okay? That is exactly what Russians do. It's how they fight. And before Putin, there was Stalin, who decided to starve everybody. Yeah. Starve everybody in Ukraine to death, which he did, and like 4 million people died of starvation. So, I mean, the whole world is being propagandized by the worst actors. And it just seemed to me that the idea that Israel, okay, even under Benjamin Likud Netanyahu, would actually bomb a hospital was a little bit much for me to swallow. It was a little far to go. But I just cannot believe how many people fell for it, like right away, and reported it as being fact when the information was coming from Hamas, who also said last night, the softening of the Hamas image has begun, and it began last night with the release of this girl who they, are trying to explain to the world, oh no, we took her by accident and we're tending to her wounds. And, if you're not party to this conflict, if you're not an Israeli, then we don't want to, see you die. We don't want to hurt you. Only Israelis we want to see die. All of them, by the way, must die. All of them. Every last one, to a baby, to a man, have got to die because we are Hamas, and that is what we want to do. But we didn't mean to take people with foreign passports. Oops, we erred. And so now we want to let you know that we will release any hostage at all, when the conditions are right, who isn't party to this conflict. After they showed this girl and they said, see, we're tending to her wounds. She's okay. We got her. And then right after that was shown to the world, a spokesperson for Hamas said, we're willing to release foreign hostages when field conditions are right. Now that's stuck at, like in my craw, field conditions are right. And then all of a sudden a hospital, a Catholic, not the hospital that we're familiar with, okay? What's it called? I want to say Safi, but there's a hospital in Gaza where almost everybody is taken when they're, wounded, or when they're pregnant, or when they're, needing care. And this was not that. This was not that hospital. And so now we find out that this hospital is run by Christians, see. So, of course, they would have absolutely no problem bombing this hospital, would they?
So the chief spokesman for the Hamas military wing just issued a statement on camera in which the group is offering to release foreign hostages unconditionally, and I think this could significantly change the way things develop here over the next several hours, potentially change the course of this conflict so far. It is a statement from Abu Obaida. It is on the same channels that Hamas releases its normal videos. I've listened to the audio and verified it in Arabic, and he starts out by saying that Hamas is holding 200 hostages, that they were taken when Hamas militants crossed into Israel. They blew up the border fence, and that they are confirming that among those hostages, there are a group of foreigners. He didn't say how many, and he said that they failed to verify their identities during the time of the capture, and that now they've confirmed that they are foreign nationals, that they are not party to the conflict, that they are being treated, quote, as guests, and that Hamas will release them, quote, when field conditions are right. This is, I think, it's coming from Hamas, so it's healthy and appropriate to treat it with a great deal of skepticism.
Yeah.
But I know from diplomatic sources I've been talking to all day that there has been a lot of effort to try and convince Hamas to release some hostages. There have been discussions with Arab countries to try and put pressure on Hamas to make some sort of gesture.
Okay, so let me explain what this is. Hamas sees and hears and knows that the United States has two carrier groups that are sitting off the coast, and that if this becomes a wider war, they're toast. And so they're like, hey, listen, our beef isn't with the United States. Our beef isn't with Qatar. It's not with the Saudis. I mean, it's not. No, our beef is just with Israel. We just need to kill all the Israelis. I mean, surely you can understand that, right? And so we'll release, hostages when the conditions are right that aren't party to this conflict. And of course, it's Hamas saying it. So it's a lie.
All in, connect. To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
As Israel plans its attack on the miles-long network of Hamas tunnels that lie beneath Gaza, its soldiers can only imagine how much more awaits them there. But sitting above those weapon-stacked tunnels are defenseless civilians. For days, crowds of Palestinian dual nationals have waited anxiously at the Rafah border crossing with Egypt. With Gaza under constant bombardment and under siege, this is their only escape route. Journalist Qasem Al-Katharna holds American citizenship.
This is war in Gaza. This is war in the people who's suffering, not the military. We have to leave your mother, your sisters, your neighbors. It's the worst travel in my life to leave right now.
Mahmoud and his daughter hold Swedish nationality. They've been trying to get out of Gaza since Saturday.
My daughter saw people die, saw children die. We've been sleeping here at the crossing point. There's shelling from every side and every corner.
The Rafah crossing in southern Gaza is controlled by Egypt. It's a vital link between Gaza and the rest of the world. But it was shut down nearly a week ago after being hit by an Israeli airstrike. Since then, no one has been allowed to leave, and desperately needed humanitarian aid has stopped trickling in.
Rafah will be open.
U.S. officials hoped the crossing would open today for a few hours, but talks with Israel and Egypt to reopen it have so far failed.
And that is part of the reason that the president of the United States himself is going to the region. He's not just meeting with Israel, but he's meeting with Egypt too. He's meeting with people in the West Bank. He's meeting with Jordan. He's meeting with anybody that he can talk to about getting aid in there and getting people who are foreigners with foreign passports out of there first. Getting them home, getting them out of the war zone. So, and the idea that, Joe Biden is committed to finding and getting the hostages that he can find and get is something that everybody ought to, just like sit up and say, oh, my God, he's not waiting months or years. No, he's going there in person to get Americans home and to get other nationalities, other, nationals with different, passports. Listen, if you don't admire that, then, you're dead inside. What can I tell you? Jackie in California.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
I just wanted to call and tell you, I know last week when the board wasn't lighting up and you had said something about, maybe we shouldn't do this anymore. Please keep doing it. I listen to you every day. And just because I don't call doesn't mean I'm not listening. I have no coworkers now because I work from home, and you're my sanity. Please stay. Now, with that said, I wanted to tell you, thank you for educating me so much on what is going on. I know you had frustrating calls yesterday, but I learned a lot, and I want to thank you for that. And the other last thing I wanted to say is if you saw the interview, it was a BBC interview with a man that had lost his parents to the tragedy that happened when they, on October 7th, when they invaded, and he lost his parents, and he was crying, and he said, I'm only crying not for my parents, but more, I don't want more people to get killed. I don't want the military to get killed. I don't want the people, that are not involved in this in Gaza to be killed. And it just makes your heart, happy that there are people that just don't have this anger and understand that it's just more bloodshed. So
it's a lot. There are a lot of people that were affected by this terrorist attack. A lot of people who were there. A lot of people who had parents there. A lot of people who had children there. The man, I learned his name. His name was Tom Hand. He was so inspirational to me. The one that said his 8-year-old daughter was dead, and he said yes because he didn't want her to live in fear every minute, every second, in the custody of Hamas, right? But those people all said the same damn thing. Let it end now. Don't kill other people in my name. Don't kill other people because of my parents. It's not what they would have wanted. It's not what my brother would have wanted. It's not what my kids would have wanted. I mean, I hear that repeatedly from the people that were terrorized.
All right. God bless them. Yeah. And God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate all your information. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. I honestly, it's pretty freaking amazing that the people who live in this very contested neighborhood, let's put it that way, are so ready to stop killing in retaliation for this, and then in retaliation for that, and because that happened, we have to do that. They're done. It's like this endless cycle. And this is what I was trying to explain as being my philosophy of how successful anti-apartheid or how successful civil rights movements operate. And I've never seen a civil rights movement or the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa or any movement at all that is requesting, some sort of recognition for the humanity of the group of people they're representing. Do violence and succeed. I've never seen that. I have always and forever seen that groups that approach injustice, lack of respect, bad treatment, maltreatment, torture, that when they are nonviolent and they organize in a nonviolent way, which seems almost impossible. Really, it does. Like I was saying, the 4 little girls that were killed in the in the church, right, on Bloody Sunday, didn't spark violence. It didn't, because there was so much on the line, and that if the retaliation for violence was more violence, it would just constantly go round and round that way. And the idea was a really heartfelt, deeply believed nonviolent theory that you could overcome with persistent nonviolence. And how hard was that? And then you saw, the Edmund Pettus Bridge, right? And we saw, the beating. And people just didn't retaliate. They didn't punch back. They took it. And that inspired awe in the world. That inspired the desire to be part of that. That inspired, oh my God, look how strong you have to be. I wish I could be that strong, or I want to be that strong, or I aspire to being that strong. That is strength. That is real human perseverance. That is really what I want my kids to learn about how to end violence, right? Sometimes you got to take a beating. And it worked. Mandela was in prison for 26 freaking years. 26 years. And when he came out, he didn't come out blazing. He came out and he was peaceful, and he reached out, and told people, we could end apartheid. We can actually, we can live better. We can have better. And and what's his name? Leclerc, who was, the apartheid, president, he conceded, handed it over peacefully to Nelson Mandela.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, so an Israeli Defense Force former colonel in the intelligence wing of the IDF was just on with Nicole Wallace. Her name's Miri Eisen. I just wanted to hear what she had to say.
There's one aspect of fake news, and the other is also the psychological operations. Because I remind you that 10 days ago, as I don't even want to see it, but the Hamas terrorists who came into Israel live streamed onto the Facebook of the people that they were killing, the killing of the people, so that their families would see that. So when I'm talking about we did not attack a hospital, and no, I don't know that. I know for sure that we did not target a hospital, and that we checked and said that this is most likely a Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket. I don't know that, but now it's already in a spiral. The pictures that are coming out, looking at them and knowing, are they from the hospital? But that's irrelevant. The hospital was hit by something, and that's what we're all showing right now. And worldwide, it's Israel to blame. And I'm at the stage of, really, haven't we changed anything in the last 10 days of how these things are presented and framed? And I come from such a position where I can't believe I have to sit here. I don't even want, I'm scared that I'm getting mad, but in the social media, it's to read it, to look at it, to make sure, just like we do on all sources.
So, yeah, I mean, this is the game. And it's a great game. And by great, I mean, not fabulous. I mean big. It's a huge game. It's a game for hearts and minds. It's a game for, support and belief in a mission. And one side's mission is to wipe off the face of the earth Israelis, which are, Israelis are everything. Israelis are Arabs. Israelis are Jews. Israelis are secular. Israelis are Druze. Israelis are Christians. Israelis are all walks of life. 9 million people make up Israel, and they're from all over the gamut, okay? In Gaza, you've got, again, 2.2 million people. It's less now because a lot of death, okay? Of those 2.2 million people, 20 to 25,000 of them are terrorists, are Hamas. Hamas is the government, and it oppresses the people of Gaza. It oppresses them. They're not able to make living. You want to know a little fun fact about the people of Gaza? They're some of the most highly educated individuals on the planet. The people, not the government, not the terrorist organization that poses as a government called Hamas. No, the people that are living in Gaza. They go to they have a world-class university there. It's an Islamic university, but it's a world-class university that teaches, medicine and philosophy and, anything you'd want to, learn, anything at all. And people graduate there. And, I've seen interviews with young girls especially saying that they were just about to graduate from the university. Well, what were you studying? I wanted to be a dentist. And then you realize that she wants to be a dentist, and she will be a dentist, but she will never make any money. Well, how could that be if she's a dentist? Because no one there can afford dentistry. See? It's a spiral. It's a spiral of despair. So because there's nothing to do there, because 45% of the people in Gaza are unemployed, because and here, just take a little look, see, go on a YouTube or something like that, and look at Gaza. Okay, just look at where it is, or do a YouTube and see the actual moving pictures of what a glorious Mediterranean coastline piece of land that is. Now that place could be the lap of luxury. It could be Saint Tropez. Do you know what I'm saying? It could be it could be the Amalfi Coast if it wanted to be, because it has the beachfront. It has all that, but it would just have to renounce terrorism, and it won't. And not the people. People have no say. People don't get a chance to vote. And 2/3, I've heard this argument too. This one really infuriates me because this one's based on the ultimate knowable fact, which people have decided they don't want to know. They just want to condemn, or they just want to take a side without knowing jack crap. But they'll say, well, they voted for Hamas to be their government. Yeah, in 2006. 17 years later, there hasn't been another election, and guess what's happened? 2/3 of the people that live there are too young to vote, even if there was an election. So they didn't vote for Hamas. They didn't vote for nothing. They've never voted in their lives. Ever. Never got the chance. Not the opportunity, which, America, only 40% of us ever vote. But we have the opportunity every time we want, every 2 years, every 4 years, pick a president. They don't have an opportunity to vote. But I mean, it's so it's so a rush to choose a side. It's so a rush to be unfair because of your desire for things to be whatever you want them to be. Now, if you're an evangelical, you want it to be this, and you want it to be devastating because Jesus will come back once, the whole place is on fire. Some Jewish people just want Israel to be right because it has to be. Other people, are like, if it's a Jewish state and they're committing acts of terrorism and they're bombing hospitals, we need regime change there. We need an election like right away. Bibi Netanyahu has to step down. But at least, we're kind of saying if. But there are people that won't say anything that is based in fact because they think it's too complex and they think it's too hard to know. And it isn't. Nothing is. Maybe quantum physics. For me, it's too hard to know. Tim in Texas.
Yeah, thanks for all you do, Randy. Very educational. I have a fear on a different subject regarding Jim Jordan. I am afraid, and you give me a threat assessment, tell me if I'm off the rails, that there may be assassination attempts. Well, I'm talking about if Jordan is elected speaker, I am afraid that assassination attempts on the two folks ahead of him might be possible. And
so isn't that true whenever you have divided government? So why now?
Well, because if Jordan gets in, it's over for this country.
Okay, but it's not over for this country. What's over is any governing. It's done. It comes to a screeching halt. Nothing gets done, and bills don't get paid, and people are furloughed, and so you have air traffic controls and military people who are being called on to do some dangerous crap right now who won't get paid. That's kind of what happens. But when you look at divided government, I mean, Newt Gingrich hated Bill Clinton so much that and Newt was an utter failure too. Newt was unable to move any legislation whatsoever. Okay, all he did was a fake impeachment of Bill Clinton, and I mean that would have been a time to apply your theory, and it didn't happen that way, did it? No, Newt ended up resigning in shame.
Yeah, but this is Jordan and Trump, and so I just wanted your threat assessment of.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Well, he just said it right there. What? So if you're willing to throw your life away in an assassination attempt,
what?
I'm saying if you're an extremist and you're willing to do that, you'd probably be throwing your life away to put Jim Jordan in office for how long? Just before Trump's going to come along and want to be president. It just doesn't make any sense. Where would an extremist like that come from? Most likely the MAGA base. They're not going to kill for Jordan. They'll kill for Trump, maybe.
Why are we talking about this? This is so irresponsible. It's so irresponsible. You just don't talk about that. You know, you don't give people, I mean, not that they need ideas, but you just don't suggest that's something that, you know, the United States should have to go through because, you know, we have crazy people that live among us. We've always had crazy people that live among us. We had a Speaker of the House who impeached the president for having an affair while he was having an affair. Okay? We had a guy who was supposed to be the Speaker of the House who couldn't be Speaker of the House because he was having an affair, Livingston. Everybody forgets our recent history. This is not like ancient Roman times, okay? It just doesn't happen that way. What happens is people who are up to no good are voted out of office by us. That's the democracy part of it. Anyway, Carol, are you there? No.
It's good to talk. It's good to talk to you. I called the day you.
All right. Have a nice day. We're out of time.
She was going to tell you she cried when she thought you were stepping down.
I will not be here tomorrow. I don't want you to think, you know, I've retired. I have a very, very long 6-hour appointment in a dental chair. Think marathon, man. God knows I am. Well, why don't you take something? Because I don't take things. That's why. I have to just put my earbuds in and try and listen to like green noise, red noise, brown noise, whatever.